We've assembled some of the greatest minds in cycling history. The know-it-all, Adam Kelsall, reportedly has a photographic mind or something. Encyclopedic knowledge of all things cycling. Well, some things. The has-been, Billy Joe Shearsby, infamous in the world of track cycling, having won a world championship in 1993, along with 2 other hacks and a freckle. The legend, Phil Anderson, first non-European to wear the yellow jersey at some backwater race in France. Together they are Grupetto Show.
Good evening, Barwon Heads. Welcome to Grupetto Show. I'd like you to please give a round of applause for Phil Anderson on my left tonight. What's going on? Yeah. And on my right, we've been assured that actually he's in his good ear and he hasn't heard a thing we've said up until now. Ladies and gentlemen, BJ, Billy Joe Shearsby.
It's actually... thank you. It's actually 100% true, Adam. I'm almost completely deaf in my right ear, and for every episode up till now, I've sat on that side, so I don't even know what this show's about.
So you've just been there wondering what the hell's going on?
I've just been dropping F-bombs in left, right and centre, just hoping I'm saying something interesting.
Righto, so Phil and BJ, we're in Barwon Heads tonight, the home of Cadel Evans, also the home of the Sea Change series. Welcome to the crowd. Thank you for coming. Probably the best looking crowd we've ever had at Grupetto Show.
Absolutely. Bunch of hornbags, a lot of them. And
I'm interested to see the impact of cycling in the town. Can I ask for a show of hands? We've got a camera on the crowd, haven't we, Norm? No, that's okay. Can I ask for a show of hands?
We'll edit that in post.
Who was a cyclist BC? I'll give them a minute to work out what I mean by BC.
Before Cadel, yeah.
Wow.
All of them. I don't think there's been an effect at all.
No. Sorry, Cadel.
Cadel who? Do we have to explain who Cadel Evans is?
No impact on the town at all. Now, Phil...
He was a mountain biker. Yeah.
Phil and BJ, this is an old stomping ground for you guys. I'm led to believe... Now, it's really hard for me to get information out of BJ and Phil about their racing. They're really loath to talk about it, but they'll talk about it tonight.
That's because Phil's modest and I'm a liar.
You guys raced against each other in Barwon Heads.
Well, I wouldn't say raced against each other. There was anyone remember the Bay Criterium series that used to happen? Well, in start of 94, we came through. We didn't actually race in Barwon Heads, I don't think, but we did race in Torquay and in Ocean Grove. And it's easy for me to talk about the highlights of my cycling career because there's only about 5 of them. I had the shortest cycling career in the history of cycling. I got to start on the front of the grid each day because I was a fresh world champion, and right next to me, Phil Anderson got to start. And that was awesome. I got to race against one of my heroes. And in Torquay, which I think was on the second day, I broke away with about 2 or 3 laps to go and had the length of the straight on the bunch. Now I was a pursuiter, so I was quite good at that kind of thing. And no, he chased me down. Closed the gap, mowed me down. So thanks, Phil. Thanks for that one.
And what did your director say?
He said it took the best of the best to catch you, buddy.
So BJ, how big was your break? How far ahead of the peloton were you?
The length of the straight. I couldn't see him with 2 to go, and then I looked around and they were on my wheel.
You also told me that between winning the World Championship and doing the Bay Crit series, you did how much training?
None whatsoever.
No training. So Phil, you looked up the straight. Tell me about the size of BJ's arse that you saw in the straight. BJ had been doing no training, huge arse.
Well, my eyes were a lot better then than what they are now. So
was my arse.
but no, I mean, you're a young, budding cyclist. How old were you?
I was 21.
21, yeah.
And I believe
so it was my final year, so I was mid-30s, sort of 1 foot in retirement. Coming to my last season, but...
Now you're 1 foot in... No, sorry.
But yeah, I do recall doing the series. It's the only time I really raced professional in Australia was that Bay Series, was that week of racing, because I was always racing overseas. But But I remember, riding, and the majority of the field were track riders. And it was very tough. And
I do remember you distinctly looking at me on the start line the first day when they called us up, and you went, "Who the hell's this kid?"
Where did you get that jersey from? But yeah, it was a fun series actually.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to ask Phil a question, which will lead to a conversation later on. But I just
is it the question?
Preempt with a question that's relevant to this conversation. Phil, you mentioned that you raced mostly overseas, but this was your one time racing in Australia. Did you receive any money for racing the Bay Crit series?
From other riders?
Any money?
I think what we're saying is, did Roberto Gaggioli give you any cake for this race?
What?
No?
No.
Okay.
No.
He actually didn't need to, because he just smashed us. He didn't need any help for that one at all.
We can establish that. What have we been talking? 7 minutes? 7 minutes into the show, Bay Crit series, Phil received no money for racing. Hang on to that fact for later on. Too early for a rant?
No, let's go for it.
So now, did anyone watch our episode from down at Lawn, where we went down to Lawn, we hung out at the Grand Fondue? Did anyone
Amy's
watch?
Cheese Fondue.
And we saw a guy who was wearing a World Championship jersey.
And he was decked out resplendently in rainbow stripes on his helmet and jersey. There's a picture on my Instagram if any of you follow me on Instagram.
And that upset you, Billy Joe?
It didn't upset me, actually, and this is the whole point of this rant, is in the past, I have a lot of friends who take great delight in sending me photographs when they see some Joe punter wearing the rainbow stripes, which, does anyone not know what the rainbow stripes mean here? Hands up? No?
Happy with gay marriage?
Happy with gay marriage, exactly right. We support marriage equality.
So Tony Abbott, does he wear the rainbow? Keep going, Billy Joe.
Well, his sister does, but he doesn't. No. Yes, no, it's not the marriage equality one, although I do support that too. No, it's the reigning world champion, obviously, gets to wear the stripes on his chest. And I got to do that for 1 year, and then for the rest of your life, you can wear them on your sleeve and collar, I think in your own event or whatever. So friends of mine like to send me photographs of just general people out bike riding wearing rainbow jerseys. It used to bug me, and this is why it used to bug me, because, as I said, I was once, for a very brief moment in time, a world champion. And I never felt comfortable pulling the jersey on because of the company that I was kind of in by having earned the right to wear it. People like Stuart O'Grady, people like Bradley Wiggins, people like, there's a long list of very, very famous, very accomplished cyclists who worked way harder than I did, and for longer, and achieved way more as well. But, so I don't even feel worthy wearing the thing. And now I've actually made a sort of a peace with it because, and here's the story. This is the cute story, actually. Before I even started cycling, my dad got into it. A friend of his, actually, this is not hilarious, but a friend of his passed away and left him a bicycle in his will. And my dad got into cycling. And for Christmas one year, my mum decided to buy him a jersey. So just something nice. And she went down to the local bike shop in South Africa and saw a beautiful white woolen Santini jersey with these lovely coloured stripes all over it. So she took it home and gave it to my dad for Christmas, and he was happy and went out riding with his training group the next day. And they let him know in no uncertain terms that he wasn't allowed to wear that. And he came home crestfallen and said, I can't wear this. And he explained it to us. Well, he explained it to my mum. And so she said, well, what are you going to do with it? And he goes, well, I can't wear it. And so I piped up, 15 years old, had just gotten on the bike. And I said, you better hang on to it. I'm going to need it. No intention of ever being a cyclist at this stage. Well, 6 or 7 years later, whenever it was, when we got back from the Worlds in '93, my parents picked me up from the airport, and we get home. It's late at night. All the family's asleep, just my dad and I. And he says, "You're in this room here." And I walk in, and he's got this old Santini jersey lying on the bed. And I was like, "That's really cool." But it dawned on me that those idiots that are wearing those rainbow jerseys without having earned them, that could have been my dad. So maybe don't yell at them. Maybe we just educate them. They're probably doing it because they're a fan of cycling. I don't have as much of a problem with it as I originally did, Adam, is what I'm saying here.
As you've got older, you've mellowed.
I have mellowed.
I wonder also, is that perhaps because you've forgotten how hard you had to work to win that rainbow jersey? Because you worked under infamous coach Charlie Walsh.
Yeah.
Your event was 1 kilometre long.
4 kilometres,
4
actually.
kilometres long. I knew it was something like that.
It was short. Let's just say it was short. Yeah.
4 kilometres long.
Yep.
4 blokes.
Mm-hmm.
To train for a 4-kilometre event, how many kilometres did Charlie Walsh have you do a year?
That year we did 38,800 kilometres.
38,000 kilometres.
In 10 months. Well, this is why I don't ride at all now, because I've done enough.
So if I did 1,000 Ks a week and won a rainbow jersey, and then I saw that some douche can just walk into a shop, sorry if anyone's got one, you're not a douche, I love your work, and buy one, I'd probably be angry about that as well.
Yeah, I know. But look, at this stage, it's the people that are buying those jerseys, it's because they're fans of cycling. And fans of cycling, we need to encourage them, because this is what happens. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. The Barwon Head Cycling Club, people. This is what happens.
We love fans of cycling. Now, and in an interesting, I don't even know what you call it, coincidence, I guess. Yeah.
Twist.
Mm-hmm. The year you won 93, a young, brash... Why do we always use brash
Texan.
to describe this guy? A young brash Texan by the name of Lance Armstrong won...
Anyone ever heard of him?
Just down the road from where you won in Norway, on a pissing rainy day, Lance won a world championship. Were you competing in that race, Phil?
I was, that's right. Yeah, it was a very wet, slippery day. I was one of the few that didn't slip, didn't fall off.
You managed to keep it up the whole day?
I managed to keep up, yep.
That's very impressive.
Phil's been known for being able to keep it up on the toughest of days.
I think Lance fell. Some riders, there were riders crashing, 2 or 3 times, which is amazing. Sometimes you don't crash once in a whole year, and here guys crashing multiple times in one day.
You're telling us you didn't crash once in a whole year, but when I Google you, it says has a reputation for crashing.
Well, no, it says has a reputation for causing crashes. He doesn't necessarily fall off.
Has his Wikipedia been...
Spectacular recovery.
I fixed it.
You've been hacking Phil's Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'll have to change that on the, what's that, Wikipedia or something.
So you were in the race. What did you come? 93 Worlds.
Look, I don't even know if I finished, actually.
So BJ beat you that year because he won a World Championship jersey.
He did.
Technically, I beat Phil.
Deservingly,
yes.
Yep.
And what other Australian riders were in the 93 Worlds?
Stephen Hodge?
Might have been Hodge.
Stevens.
Alan Piper, maybe. Steve-O. That would have been about it. It was pretty small, but like now there's a big selection process. But back then, I'll just make a telephone call to the Australian Federation and just ask them to enter me, and that was it. It was pretty straightforward. But now, there's
did you guys work together, unlike the way they do it now?
No.
No?
I mean, we look out for each other. We have a
beer the night before each on one team. Yeah.
We have a beer the night before.
There you go.
But
the night before too.
Yeah, like
back when they were.
We didn't really have a great chances of winning like they do now.
So is there a chance that at the time you were on the same team as Lance, Team Motorola? Is there a chance that in the Worlds you actually worked for Lance?
Oh,
not really, no. I mean, I had...
Had you hooked up with his mum at this stage? Because that's a famous story told on one of our first shows.
That was 2 years earlier.
2 years earlier?
Yeah, it was over by then. Things had gone cold.
She was just stalking you by then.
The bus.
But no, it's... I didn't work for Lance. Like, obviously, he's a good buddy. This is pre-cancer. It was, quite in his very early years. Obviously, he's a very talented rider, but no, we weren't working together or anything like that. I mean, I was on the Australian team. We call it a team, but but he was, his American squad. He had pretty much a full team there.
So if I got in my time machine, went back to 93 Worlds and said, Phil, one day Lance will win 7 Tour de France, would you have believed it back then?
No, absolutely not. He couldn't climb. Mind you, the course in Oslo was quite hilly, but to climb, in the Alps or the Pyrenees, to get through a 3-week race, you have to be able to climb and time trial, and he couldn't do either of those particularly well. In 94, he won a stage in the Tour. He won a stage in the Tour, but I don't think he finished the Tour de France.
So Phil, just to go back very quick, I guess I want to throw from there. How old was Lance when he won the Worlds?
Lance, I think, was 21. Yeah, he's youngest world champion ever.
Okay, so let's throw to new world champion Peter Sagan, who's a little bit older than Lance when he won his first. Can you see similarities between the two riders? Not Lance since.
Yeah, look,
Lance.
Peter Sagan's already has a career already behind him, whereas Lance was only just sort of starting. He was only just starting in '93, whereas Peter Sagan, we've seen him win 4 out of 5 stages in the Tour of California. That was possibly really his debut into the
two-time world champion already too. Mountain biking and cyclocross, is that correct?
Not sure about that, but
yeah, mountain biking.
I don't know. Maybe I just made that up.
Fact check, Jess
Fact
Douglas.
checker, Jess, is that correct? Just say
Peter
yes.
Sagan,
just nod and say yes.
No,
not a 24-hour, not a 24-hour rider.
Under 24, under 23s or something.
The producers told us we need to get a wriggle on. But Peter Sagan, can he win a Grand Tour?
I don't think so. Maybe a semi-Grand Tour.
Let's pretend it's 1994. Phil, can Lance Armstrong win a Grand Tour?
No, he cannot.
No, definitely not.
So that's an intriguing question, ladies and gentlemen. 25-year-old Peter Sagan, who we will talk more about after the break. I could talk about Peter all day. He's my current favourite
boy
cyclist.
Crush.
Wow, we've got a great audience tonight here at Barwon Heads. We're live. The bridge is just out there. The sea change set is just down there. It's going off. Now, Phil, we were talking about young Turk Peter Sagan, everyone's favourite cyclist of 2015, and making some comparisons to Lance's early years. Now, Lance had a couple of hot dates with Sheryl Crow, and that launched him into the mainstream. The world mainstream media, Who magazine, I can't think of magazines. But
cover of the Rolling Stone, mate.
So, the question for you, who does Peter Sagan need to date to get into mainstream media?
Well, I saw he had a bit of a hottie on his arm at the World Championship, so I think he's doing pretty well. Maybe he'll make her famous. That's a reality program right there.
Let's talk Tour de France.
The Sagan sex tape hasn't come out yet, but I'm guaranteeing that one will.
I can call him Saga.
Nice! Who said that? That was fantastic.
Let's get that man off.
And with that, I'm out of a job. You're in.
Hey, that guy, he's from that working dog thing. The route for the 2016 Tour de France has been launched. Tell us about the highlights of the route, Phil.
Yes, everybody thought it was going to be going clockwise, but breaking with tradition, where they have alternate directions. They're following the same direction as last year, so that's going anti-clockwise. So they have the Pyrenees before the Alps, so that'll be exciting. A bit different than usual. I'm really excited about it because while they still have a couple of traditional big climbs, they have the Tourmalet and the Ventoux in there, there's a heaps of smaller climbs which the Tour de France has never gone over before. First category climbs, even hall category climbs. So,
and for the first time in a long time, they've brought in the Le Mans start, I believe. Start of every stage, they have to run to their bikes. Is that right? Have they? Because I suggested that last year, and they never got back to me.
No, well, they must have picked it up, I think. But no, they're taking some initiative and changed it. I think they want to create a bit more excitement in the race. While there's always drama and there's fantastic moments in every Tour de France. I think they want to have a bit more suspenseful. They've got an uphill time trial 3 days before the finish. They've got the first mountain stage only after a weekend. So, yeah, it's going to be it's going to be a big tour. And who's going to win? Is that what you're going to ask?
Well, I was, but first I was just going to express that it's amazing for me. I mean, I never thought, I'm going to have a fanboy moment. I never thought I'd sit between yellow jersey wearer and a world champion. But it's amazing to me to hear Phil's passion is still so strong for the tour. It's not uncommon for former elite sportsmen to finish their sport, take a lot of drugs and get a little bit disenchanted.
He's talking about me now. Yeah.
Well, I wasn't, but get a little bit disenchanted with their sport. But it's great to hear you describe the tour with so much passion. And do you, like, the night before the tour route's released, are you at home just tapping and getting nervous and excited?
Just hitting refresh. Come on.
I didn't watch the live program, but I watched the highlight program of the announcement. That's pretty piss, isn't it?
Did you used to go to the launch?
No. Like, quite often I wouldn't even know the tour route before I turned up. like, there were years when it was very important to me. Like, obviously, I was a leader of a team, and it was, it was my job to make sure I knew what was going on. But there was a lot of years there where I was, the captain or whatever of the team, but my role had changed. Where, I wouldn't really know.
So the night before the tour, there'd be a conversation like your manager would ring up and say, "Phil, have you had a look at the route?" And you'd be like, "Nah, she'll be right. I'll just ride my bike."
No, I mean, when I was, I was for 5 or 6 years, I was very competitive at the tour, and those ones there, I'd go out and do reconnaissance beforehand. So obviously, I'd have to know the route. Now, you wouldn't know a lot of the stages. There's critical stages, and they're the ones, for the general classification riders. They have to know for the time trial routes, and also for the mountains. You want to know those particular stages, but not the flatter days and things like that.
Yes. Phil, your tip for the yellow jersey this year, or next year actually, 2016 Tour de France. This is world exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. Former Tour de France yellow jersey holder Phil Anderson is about to reveal who's going to win the yellow in 2016.
Oh, for the last few years, I've always wanted Contador to win, to get up there, because he's an exciting rider. But there's a couple of downhill finishes, like quite technical downhill finishes, and after seeing Nibali in Lombardia, the last classic of the year, attack on the downhill, it'd be great to see somebody like him. Like, he's won the Giro. I think it'd be great to see somebody like him, a little Sicilian.
If Peter Sagan attacks on a downhill, what do you predict Paul Sherwin and Phil Liggett will say? What is anyone? If Peter Sagan attacks on a downhill, they'll say something like, "As a former mountain biker," they say that every year, right? I'm predicting Peter Sagan. Did you say your prediction? Sorry.
Nibali.
Nibali,
yep.
I'm predicting Sagan for yellow.
Oh, look, I'm predicting Bradley Wiggins again, because he's who I predict every year. I predict him every year, and I was right once.
You were.
Yeah.
Good. Stick with that prediction.
I'm going to stick with that one.
The Sprinters jersey, green. Is Matt Goss going to make a comeback and win the green jersey?
No, I don't think so. No, I think it have to be Sagan again, I think, for the green jersey. So you predict yellow.
I'm predicting green Sagan.
Jamaluddin Abdujaparov. Is he riding it again this year?
He was.
I'm confused because I was watching the tour on the screen before.
He was. The polka dot jersey.
Maybe your favourite, I think.
Take your Hyman off. He's the man for it. Definitely. Daniel, take your Hyman off.
I'm predicting
with a bullet.
Peter Sagan.
Peter Sagan
for polka dot.
Oh, well, there you go, an exclusive.
Phil, polka dot.
I think maybe one of the GC riders again. I don't know whether Aru's going to be doing it, but to see him in climate, it'd be good to see a post-teenage rider to get up there and.
Well, I mean, Contador, he's 13 this year, so he's still riding himself into puberty. I mean, once he gets out and really starts, growing some hair on his chest, he's going to be a big hitter in the mountains. But I mean, wouldn't it be great to see Aru just blow the tour wide apart, win the yellow and the polka dot? Because even if it's only just to see the Muppet memes that they do of his face afterwards.
Question without notice, like all the questions tonight. Who should quit? What? I'm going to put some names out there.
I'm guessing you're going to say Richie Port.
Simon Gerrans, time up.
Oh, you're going to rip on him now too.
Time up.
What are we?
Who should quit? Who's done?
Adam loves nothing more than ripping on Orica Green Edge riders.
No, he's still got
some
years. Yeah,
Simon's still got some years. I think Simon Gerrans, time up.
I'm hoping Danny Clark finally quits. Because isn't he back racing again?
So tell us who should quit.
Adam Hansen, he should quit his, he's going for a record 100
Grand Tours
in a
row.
Grand
Tours.
Yeah, that's an impressive effort.
Apparently he's running the next one.
Adam Hansen, we know you love the show. We've received a lot of fan mail from Adam. Sent us photos of himself in his undies and stuff.
I first met him doing the Crocodile Trophy.
Did you do the Croc the same year?
Yeah. He was there as a young kid from Cairns. He comes from up Queensland.
That was back when there was real crocodiles in it too.
Very quickly, tell us about the Croc Trophy for those who are unfamiliar.
It's a 3 week. It's 3 weeks. It's a 14-day race. I think it's just finished today actually up in Queensland.
Race?
Yeah, so it's a mountain bike event which is basically a stage race through the outback. It's mostly going down stock routes and there's a lot of corrugation. So you're riding through a lot of sand. I did it. About 6-7 years post-retirement, so it was after I retired.
Can I ask a question, Phil?
Yes.
Why?
Exactly.
That seems like an awful race.
Yeah. So
it's like Paris-Roubaix without the people and the money.
That's right. Yeah.
So when you did the Croc Trophy, what was the average temperature?
The average temperature was 40, maybe 35, 40.
That's pretty bloody hot.
Yeah.
And this is a bit of a personal question, so I'm going to ask it quietly. If it's 40 degrees, what's the temperature in your Knicks?
Oh, 100 plus.
So
it's always pretty hot in Phil's Knicks.
Were you? Because I've heard rumours of guys and girls
let's not go here.
nicking, wearing 2 pairs of Knicks at the Croc Trophy.
No, I just use 1 pair, but I do that nowadays when I do I got to do the Amy Gillett ride, which goes for a few days on the trot, and after 2 days I'm shot, so I have to wear 2 pairs of shorts.
World exclusive. Phil Anderson in this year's Amy Gillett was wearing 2 Knicks at once. Thank you. We're going to wrap up this segment. Anyone else who should quit? So we've said Gerrans. We've said, who did you say? Hanson. BJ?
Phil Liggett, probably.
Phil Liggett.
Have we heard enough from that guy yet, or what? Am I right? We've heard enough, Phil. We love Phil.
Welcome back to Grupetto Show. We're having a great night here at Bowen Heads. It's a balmy night. It's a beautiful night. Bowen Heads is a great place to come in summer. If you're wondering what you're going to do with your holidays, come on down.
It's even better to come in winter because it's quiet.
No, come in summer. And we're at the venue, Maritana. I had a gnocchi with Italian sausage. It was amazeballs. Now, we have another guest tonight, and I don't think Phil even knew this was happening. Another one of Phil's, it's hard to say Phil's former teammates from Team Motorola, Andy Hampston. Coming up, Andy.
Is he here? Andy Hampston? He is. Andy, nice to meet you. It's not really Andy Hampston, is it, Andy?
No. It's McNeely.
Way more handsome than Andy Hampston. God, that's hard to say.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, you guys are doing a very big ride.
Why
don't you tell us a bit about that?
We're actually doing a fundraiser, and a group of guys from the Bowen Heads Cycle Club decided to get together and ride from Sydney to Bowen Heads. So we're doing over 8 days, and it'll be about 150 k's a day, and we're raising money for Give Where You Live. So
that sounds like a long way.
Yeah, there's no shortcut. There's no shortcut from Sydney, is there?
No.
You going over the mountains or?
No, we're going around the coast.
So they're still pretty hilly.
Yeah.
It's not like going down the Hume or something.
Less hilly than through the mountains. So that's the challenge, and it's probably more challenging considering the age of some of our riders.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not young like you guys.
So what's the cause? Tell us about the cause.
A local charity in Geelong. And all the money raised goes to Give Where You Live, so they distribute it amongst different needy groups around the Geelong region. We started off trying to raise 5,000 was the first thing. We thought, no, that's not really going to do it. So we're sort of thinking about 20, over 20 grand.
That'd be pretty good.
That would be. Yep.
I
was sort of, maybe Phil, you could give us some tips about doing a long tour like this. What should we be doing in our training?
Well, I reckon after day 2, you'd have the second pair of shorts. Bloody.
Okay, yeah.
I'd suggest talking to Dr. Ferrari, actually.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We'll get him on board.
Have you worked out a way to penalise anyone who's half-wheeling? Because I'm guessing there's going to be some half-wheeling.
There will be a lot. So considering our loose group of cyclists, most likely. Have you got any tips? What do we do? How do we deal with that?
What I like to do, this is a trick taught to me by Tim O'Shaughnessy, is when somebody is half-wheeling, you just give a little kick and roll up next to them, and just for a second, just grab their handlebar.
Yeah,
they won't do it anymore after that.
Yep, thanks very much.
They stop really quickly.
Might start that tomorrow on tomorrow's ride.
Or back in the old days when we had the shifters on the down tube, as Phil would say, if they're half-wheeling, you just roll up next to them and just flick them into the highest sprocket, and they quickly stop doing that as well. But we can't do that anymore now.
So, Andy, if people want to donate to Bridge to Bridge and Give Where You Live, what we're going to do is Norm, our editor and producer, he's going to make a phone number or a web address appear on my hand.
Good. And on my hand.
There
maybe
it is.
Up here
you can
too.
donate.
And
on my forehead you could put it.
How do we pronounce that?
Give Where You Live.
www. Oh, we don't need to do that anymore.
We don't. Just type in Give Where You Live.
GiveWhereYouLive.com.
Yeah, Bridge to Bridge.
Bridge to Bridge. Thank you.
So like that.
If you're interested in donating to Give Where You Live Bridge to Bridge, here's that address again.
There it is.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Andy.
Thanks very much.
welcome back to live Grupetto show. It's great to have a crowd here from Barwon Heads. What a great looking crowd.
Phil's in the toilet. We've kicked off.
Well,
Phil's in the toilet. We shouldn't have started yet. But I did notice you playing with his phone. He left it unlocked, just while he was in the can. And I mean, the porn on there alone is amazing. But then when we went into his emails, look at this. What's this?
So all the cool kids now, when their mates go to the toilet, they hack each other's phones. So BJ and I decided we'd hack.
I already took a picture of my dick
porn,
on it. So. Sorry.
BJ,
there are children.
What is BJ? No, let's... And...
My meds are wearing off.
Wow.
Sorry. I know, look at this.
Wow. I sound like Norm Douglas. He says wow and wow and wow.
He does.
Can you read it out to us, BJ?
It says... Is he coming back yet? No. Hi, Phil. Do you have a comment on the Velo News article published today, which contains a sworn testimony from Lance Armstrong that Jim, I can't say that name,
Okowitz,
that guy, orchestrated the 1993 Triple Crown win, and that you negotiated some package with Coors Light. Now he was Phil was a handsome young man back then. I'm betting he negotiated several packages. Oh shit!
What's going on here, boys?
Nothing. We're just talking about the tour. Quick,
Phil just came out of the toilet. How's our method acting going, by the way?
Pretty good.
Phil just came out of the toilet with the. Do you often go into the toilet and come out with the yellow jersey on?
Well,
only when he wins in there.
We just saw some shit on your phone. They're not saying nice things about you.
Oh, this crap comes in all the time.
Really?
Yeah, it does. Oh, look, it's...
So, hey, let's go backwards a bit. Jim Okowitz, he was your team director.
Yeah.
And Lance Armstrong won 3 races in a row in America, which Coors Light, a beer company, really, really bad beer.
Terrible beer.
Terrible beer.
Shocking
Americans can't make
yeah.
beer. They put up $1 million. Lance won it. They're saying that maybe Lance orchestrated the whole thing and you were involved.
They said you may have negotiated a package.
I was on Lance's team, so it was... it was another era then, but Lance was... he was a young kid. It actually... it all came together in that Philadelphia race, which was the last race of 3 in a series. And if one rider won all 3 of these events, there was $1 million up for grab.
And what year are we talking?
93.
So $1 million in 93, that's a lot of smackaroos.
That's a lot.
Can you say that?
You have to say $1 million.
$1 million. That's
it's a lot now.
In 2015,
well, it's bugger all now.
People
get you half a house in Melbourne.
Hipsters would say that's a lot.
Robbie McEwen carries that in his jeans now.
Norm Douglas would say that's a lot of clams. It's a lot of clams. $1 million.
So Lance won the first. I think it was a tour of West Virginia.
Tour of Norlane.
Norlane, that's
Tour
it.
of Norlane. You heard it here first.
And so already after the first race, only one person can win if they're going to go for the Grand Slam.
Did everyone work that out?
Very quickly. So we roll up to the next race. A week later, there was one event every week, or there's a week in between. The Tour of West Virginia was like a 5-day race. We turn up to the next one, and there were some international teams, but a lot of domestic teams, a bit like the Shackley team, and one of the teams was the Coors Light, which was possibly the best domestic.
Malcolm Elliott was he?
Yeah, Malcolm Elliott. Yeah.
Anyone remember Malcolm Elliott? He was cool. I liked Malcolm.
Yeah,
Elliott.
He won a lot of races.
Very good over there.
Yeah.
Coors Light, good team, bad beer.
The Silver Bullet.
The Silver Bullet. That's right. So there's maybe 20 teams.
Like Shackley, they called us the Rubber Bullet.
So there may be 20 teams, and they weren't huge teams. There may be teams of 6 or 7 riders, and already riders are coming up and say, "Do you want a hand to help the race, to help win this race?" And we're like,
a hand negotiating your package.
So we said, "No, we're here to win. We've got the riders to win. We can do it easily." So we go out and we do the second race, and Lance won that. So now it comes down to the last third and final race.
The smart ones then went, hang on, if he's won 2, then only one guy can probably win this Triple Crown.
So each of these 3 races are a race in their own. The $1 million thing was a totally separate separate deal.
And sorry, Phil, to interrupt you. While this was going on, was there something? There's been accusations that something happened in Italy ahead of race 3. Is that where the timing is? Or
no, I think that was...
This is before Roberto Gaggioli went gluten-free.
They call him gluten-free Gaggioli.
Well, gluten-free Gag.
So tell us what happened with Roberto.
No, but anyway...
What is rumoured to have happened?
I guess since Lance started winning tours, he's been a target for all sorts of things. Some rightly, some wrongly. But anyway, he's supposedly been roped into race fixing, besides the doping. And
match fixing with the cricket as well. I heard he was involved in that.
That's right.
Yeah.
He had a finger in every pie.
Lance and Steve Waugh fixing
right.
cricket.
Ansi Kronia.
But so there's this accusation about the race fixing in for the third and final race, that there was, and that's the story that came out last week. It's actually been out for a long time, and I think it first came to head when Swart came out and explained, I think under oath, there was some race fixing. Now, I was interviewed not long after Lance went down because my name came up, and I couldn't remember, and I was honest when I said that, because they're talking about this was out of the blue. I couldn't remember anything of it at the time, and it's not something that I could recall at the time. But this sort of thing does happen in racing. Occasionally, you call on some friendships. When you're out there with 200 riders and you've got 198 guys chasing you down, there's another guy there, and he's saying, listen, I can give you a hand. I need you to help me tomorrow. I'll help you today. Sometimes it comes down. Sometimes it's a team thing. If you're in the yellow jersey and teams are coming up to you and saying, if you let us win today, we'll help you tomorrow. We'll help defend the yellow jersey if you let one of our riders win the stage today. Deals do go on the road, and they have gone down, and they will always go down. I admit that. Now, I couldn't remember exactly, what went down. They put my name in there because, I was a good friend of Lance, and we were roommates. And
dating his mum.
Dating his mum. That had nothing to do with it. but yeah. So yeah, I mean, I get a call on it from time to time, and it's something which. I get sick of explaining, but yeah.
If there was $1 million and only 200 riders, why didn't they just split it equally amongst all the riders? Then no one ever would have talked. That would have been way better, wouldn't it?
Can you understand though, Phil? Like hearing you tell the story is amazing, but to me, it sounds like I'll help you today if you help me tomorrow is a lot different from let's win $1 million. When they throw that figure in there, it sounds like it's a lot more serious than it was at taking the tradition of I'll help you if you help me to another level. A level too far.
Yeah,
if it
deals have gone down, through the years. Sometimes, a rider will suddenly get a really sweet contract the next year, or he'll be on a really good team, he'll come out of nowhere. You've got teams which are riding that race who possibly didn't have an annual budget of the sorts of figures they're talking about throwing around. They're talking about a payoff of 100,000, which I find hard to believe. Like I certainly couldn't remember any figures, but there's possibly, I don't know what the Shackley team was, the budget of the team.
Well,
like
I'll
Shackley.
say certainly nobody offered me any money, but that's probably because I couldn't influence the outcome of that race in any way, shape, or form.
But it's I would imagine it's still going on. That those sort of arrangements are going on this way, if it's financial or otherwise. In this end of the millennium. So
some serious clams exchanged for race wins.
Clams for race wins. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's clams. Other times it's jerseys.
So and when you talk about a sprint or whatever, I'll help you, you help me. That seems okay. Like even when I put my will lead Harley moral hat on, I go, yeah, I'm okay with that. But when we're talking, would we ever see something like Chris Froome needs a bit of help in the mountains? Alberto Contador's having a shocking tour and he's coming 28th. Would we see someone like a Contador maybe pull some turns on the front for Froome for a bit of cash?
I think it's going to be interesting this year, Froome, or next year, 2016. Watching Froome and his old teammate. They're going to be racing against each other.
Richie Porte.
With Richie Porte. So it's going to be, and that's a friendship thing, and it's hard when you're when you're racing against your mates, and that's the other thing. Your relationships can change. Well, not necessarily, but it's difficult because you're racing with your mates, and you've got a duty to your team, which and sometimes you've got to not knock your mates off, but you've got to hold them back. You've got to hold them in the gutter. Your part of your job is to slow certain riders down, and
is this part of why Lance was so good, is because he didn't have any mates?
But then 5 minutes later, the situation in the race, and this is the wonderful thing about racing, how quickly it can all change. The whole thing's changed. There's been a crash, or there's a change of wind direction, race direction, and suddenly you find yourself in a break with somebody else. That 2 minutes ago you're holding them back. And the combination of riders and the group has totally changed, and suddenly the dynamics of the group and deals are called off and made, and I was always told never to make any enemies in the bunch.
So last question about this: is there a part of you that, cycling's made a lot of effort to move forward away from the Lance thing and all of that saga? Is there a part of you that really hopes you stop getting emails from Velo News asking questions about stuff that happened a long time ago?
Oh no! Look, everybody's always looking for an angle for a story, confirmation. This is all pretty serious. Goes down with race fixing, or not embezzlement, but corruption within the sport, and they're trying to nail anybody they can, and Lance is obviously an easy target at the moment. And back then that's what happened. I'm not saying the drug thing bloody happened. I was glad to be not part of that, but they're looking for other angles now, and that whole $1 million was underwritten by an insurance company, and so I think it's too late for them to try and get their money back. But there's the weather money was spent a long time ago, obviously. It's now I forgot the train.
I think the money was spent on a date with Sheryl Crow.
It could.
Do you think, Phil, I don't know, this is just personally for me, that the media has gone a little bit too far on board? Yes, we want to clean up all sports, but, and this is, I'm getting serious for a second here, Adam. At a certain point, do you think, exactly, the media now have sort of turned this into like, almost like, if it bleeds, it leads, like the more gutsy and gory the story, the better. Do you think this is sort of slowly destroying some of the heroes that cycling actually really needs?
Yeah, it's, there hasn't been too many involved now, and I think we've moved on, and now I think the concentration is onto the current generation, and the Sagans and Delicob, and there's a new energy out there, and I think we've sort of moved on from that. Lance is an easy target, and Floyd Landers, is trying to recoup some of his expenses, and the federal.
I'm still trying to get money off Robbie for the Port Pirie wheel race. And let's face it, that's never coming back.
Billy Joe, Phil, thank you tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. How good's this crowd? Give yourselves a clap, ladies and gentlemen.
I have to say, I think this has been our best one so far. We didn't quite have time to get to the interview with Shane Kelly. That will come up on the next episode. Sorry, Shane, we will get to you. I guarantee it.
I think we're going to have Lee Howard on interviewing Shane Kelly.
Lee Howard will be interviewing Shane Kelly on the next episode.
That will be fantastic. Phil, thank you for your Tour de France predictions tonight. We'll be watching closely in about 9 months from now to see them all come true.
Thanks, Adam. It's been a pleasure. It's been a great crowd, as you say.
Fantastic crowd.
Yeah, geez, it's been getting better and better.
It will be on Fox Sports by then, I'm sure. Or maybe Netflix. But at least YouTube.
Thank you, everybody. How about another clap for our Barwon Heads crowd?
Thank you. Woo!
And just finally wishing you well on your Bridge to Bridge fundraiser. That is a great cause, and we thank you for doing that. How about a round of applause for those gentlemen? Thank you, everybody.
Phil Anderson has left the building.